V6 with 500 horsepower of Stelvio comes out, that version of the Stelvio comes out, I can imagine that's going to happen too.
The RS Travel Club is the best way to get to the biggest motorsport events.
Ready-made packages or bespoke itineraries for Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring.
Porsche racing has been a staple of GT and endurance competition since the company was founded 70 years ago this month, and it's completely appropriate that here at Watkins Glen for the Sail in 6 Hours weekend we have not one but two Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama races. We had a cracker yesterday, and today's perfect weather sets us up beautifully for another 45 minutes of flat six, fantastic flat six noise and competition. I'm John Hindhaugh, this is IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Together, Jeremy Shaw has the grid next, live from Watkins Glen.
$25 cars for today's 8th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. We have two sighting laps, by the way, before the start of this race, so we've got a full circuit of this 3.4 mile circuit to go before we go green. 25 cars rather than 24 we had yesterday. Tremendous work by NGT Motorsport to repair the number 27 car. It's a Gold Cup entry of Sebastian Carrazzo from Puerto Rico, making his debut this weekend. Big crash on Thursday. The car was being repaired yesterday, got back last night. Fabulous job by that team. So number 27 car will start at the back of the field in 25th position. Row 12, car number 74, that's Tom Kerr for TPC Racing. Ahead of him on the grid, Brett Asplund, car number 85 for Kelly Moss Road and Race. Two more of his teammates also Gold Cup entrants next on row 11. Wayne Ducody in car number 73, Greg Palmer in car number 44. Moving on to the 10th row, Franklin Razzo for Top Racing in car number 10. And Scott Wellham was due to start 19th for Kelly Moss Road and Race. He also crashed actually yesterday in qualifying. He will not be starting this race. Row 9 is car number 5, Rob Ferriol for TPC Racing, and Fred Keimer, car number 23 for NGT Motorsport. Row 8, a pair of Top Racing entries. The Gold Cup car, number 42 for Bill Smith, had a career best second place finish yesterday, and David Baker, one of the Platinum Masters contenders. Row 7 of the grid, number 34, Sean McCagey for Perfal Infrastructure, and Kurt Fazekas, the second of the Gold Cup qualifiers, car number 52 for Kelly Moss Road and Race. We head to row 6, Mark Kavami, and car number 43 for JDX Racing, and Wright Motorsports, car number 45, Charlie Luck. Row 5, Michael Levitas, car number 36 for TPC Racing, and Victor Gomez, the fourth, the pole sitter for NGT Motorsports in car number 25. Row 4 on the outside, Alan Metney for AM Motorsports, Kelly Moss, car number 99. And the fastest of the Masters Platinum Cars contenders for Wright Motorsports in car number 20, Fred Poordad. Row 3 of the grid, Anthony Imperato for Wright Motorsports in car number 91, and David Kolkman for Park Place Motorsports in car number 71. Row 2 of the grid, in 4th position, his best ever qualifying position after returning to the racing after a long absence, Jeffrey Boss from Narragansett, Rhode Island for JDX Racing in car number 12. And alongside him on the second row, Maxwell Root in car number 7 for Wright Motorsports. Yesterday's race winner for Kelly Moss Road and Race in car number 1 is Roman De Angelis, and on the pole position is for the second time in his career, the second time in 3 races for JDX Racing, also involved in a big crash the other day, but the car repaired, had a good run yesterday to finish second. Trenton Estep in car number 3 is our pole sitter for today's 8th round of the championship.
Perfect formation coming out of the penultimate corner of the second pace lap. The Porsche Turbo is already in the pit lane. The field is under control of poleman Trenton Estep. The black and gold classic Hertz colours will bring the field round to a green flag, which is not yet in the air. Now it is, and we're racing. Good breakaway from the pole sitter. Heads down towards turn number 1. He's got half a car's length, but that's all. Coming round the outside is Roman De Angelis. Maxwell Root in the white and red car has a look down the inside. David Kolkman getting a good run as well, as he did down to the first corner yesterday at the start. And he's eased himself up, I think, into 4th position. Yes, he has, ahead of Gregory Boss. 3 wide going through. The S is further back down the field, and there's a slight intake of breath from Jeremy Shaw and myself there, because we've seen that happen before. Bill Smith in the burnt orange number 42 going around David Baker there, I think, and try and get on terms with Kurt Fazekas, who is one of the other GT3 gold class cars. 2 different types of cars here, Gen 1 and Gen 2 for the Cup cars, the latest versions of the Cup cars. The platinum class cars with black door numbers and mirrors and gold headlights, gold mirrors and gold door squares for the gold category. And it's all gold at the moment at the front, well, black and gold anyway for Trenton Estep, who has done the job that he needed to do, Jeremy, and has just eased out away from the field.
That was a picture-perfect start, absolutely perfect formation coming up to the green flag. Great start there by Trenton Estep, jumped onto the throttle. Roman De Angelis thought about trying to go around the outside of turn 1, but Trenton was having none of that. Nice, clean start. Tell you what, they're over at the inner loop. The number 3 car, the race leader, Trenton Estep, he got a lot of air coming off that corner. He hit that last, the third curve effectively pretty hard. The car was way up in the air, but kept control, no dramas. He leads this motor race from Roman De Angelis in 2nd place.
Cracking scrap going on for 8th, 9th and 10th position behind Fred Podard in the bright blue Porsche. Here comes the blue and Etruscan orange machine. Mark Kavame having a look at Charlie Luck, and Mike Levitas is in there as well. Victor Gomez in that fight as well. Victor Gomez having a look down the inside, but Kavame's gone through. Kavame's gone through into 10th position ahead of the number 25. Now, they came together on the Saturday race, and Victor Gomez lost the lead of the Gold Cup category when Mark Kavame ran into him. This time Kavame's made a clean pass and goes through into 10th position. They're not in the same class, and I don't think Victor Gomez was overly impressed with the rather desperate lunge that Mark Kavame put on him in the race yesterday, which cost him a shot at the win. He recovered very well and came in 3rd position, yes, Victor Gomez. But that was he will think of that as points lost, Jeremy, not points gained, I think.
He will. The good news is he has a pretty handy advantage over Kurt Fazekas. It was 21 points coming into the weekend, and even with Kurt Fazekas winning yesterday for the 2nd time this season in the Gold Cup Class 4 Kelly Moss Road and Race, it's still a 16-point edge for Victor Gomez coming into today's 8th round and a halfway point in the season.
2 races planned for each event weekend, and we've had 4 events. This is the 4th of 8 events, as Jeremy says, which will go to, I'm sure, we'll be counting points all the way to the season finale at the Petit Le Mans event in Road Atlanta in October. Certainly that's what happened in the Gold Cup category last year. Trenton Estep leads, but only by half a minute. The battle's further down the field then, coming to the end of another lap, leading out a little group of 5 or 6 cars. The 34 is 12th in Platinum Masters. It's the white car coming to the final corner now. Then behind him, Kurt Fazekas 2nd in that dark purple and green, almost old Porsche 908 hippie type colours and 917s. And he's going to lose a position down to turn 1 as through comes the white and red number 23. And that's Fred Keimer coming through the field. Fazekas then down to 16th position, still second in class. The problem for Fazekas is there's more cars now between himself and the class leader Victor Gomez, who's up in 11th. Nobody ahead of Trenton Estep, who's going through the inner loop now with Roman De Angelis. Roman De Angelis just sitting in second position, just starting to feel a little bit of heat from Max Root in the red-fronted car with the white and blue styling on it. He's in third, and then David Kolkman in the dark grey with the red and white stripes on of Park Place Motorsport. He's in fourth position in the 71.
And those third and fourth place cars, Max Root and David Kolkman, they were absolutely almost tied together as they came across the start-finish line. But a great run through turn 1 and through the S's. A purple sector 1 for Maxwell Root.
Issue for the
number 20, that's Fred Pourdad.
Yeah, Fred Pourdad, who was well up inside the top 10 and in fact was leading the Platinum Masters category ahead of Alan Metney, and he's off at turn 1 and there's damage to that car. Now this may bring out the bright red Porsche Turbo safety car. We've only had 5 minutes of racing. Right rear damage to the number 20, and Fred looks like he's going to try and drive it out of harm's way. He's over to the pit lane exit at turn 1, which means he's not on the racing line. No pit stop scheduled for this race, so he might be all right there. Are we going to need a full course yellow? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Double yellow flags out at the start-finish line, just down to our left from the IMSA radio broadcast booth. And Estep will be able to take a breather. Could not break away. IMSA Porsche Cayenne GTS heading to the scene of the problem. In fact, there's one already there. The second one's already on its way. Fred's fine. There's just a little bit of discussion on about how that car's going to be recovered.
That's a shame. He had a super run this weekend. He had his career best qualifying yesterday.
Jeremy, I was wrong. I thought he was in the pit lane exit. In fact, he's facing the wrong way on the outside of turn 1. I had him on the wrong side of the track there. He rather fooled me by pointing the wrong direction, and so he's right in the runoff at turn 1, and that's why the safety car has come out. That's an absolutely correct call by race control. He was in harm's way. Secondary impacts are always to be avoided, and it's the back of the car that's had damage, and I'm not sure they can even move that car at the moment with the bodywork pushed onto the right rear wheel and Yokohama tyre. So that is a mistake on my part. Thought he was on driver's right. He is in fact on driver's left, right in the firing line on the exit of turn 1. No option but to throw the double yellows and get the safety car out, and that's exactly what's happened, so that the safety team can work at the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, Fred Pourdad returning for another full season this year in the championship, running for Kelly for Wright Motorsports from San Antonio, Texas. He's a liver specialist, actually. He's a researcher at the University of Texas these days, and he's been racing for a long time. Started out with a boxer back in '09, ran the Gold Cup for a couple of years, and platinum cars pretty much since 2013. But yesterday he qualified in 6th position. Today he qualified in 7th, but yesterday that 6th position on the grid, that was his best ever. So he had a good weekend going. Fell back a few places yesterday, but still it's been a strong weekend for Fred. He'd finished second in the platinum class back in the second round at Sebring. And as I say, he had some difficulties yesterday, but a good strong early run, and unfortunately this morning it's come to an early halt, his race.
And the back right hand side of that car is what is causing the concern for the safety workers. I don't think they're going to be able to move it without a bit of a lift. Leading the gold category just on the edge of the top 10 in 10th, Victor Gomez the 4th. He's got 3 cars between himself and Kurt Fazekas, his nearest championship rival, down in 14th position. And then it's Bill Smith having another good run in that burnt orange number 42 Porsche. Second position, his best ever career result in the gold category yesterday. He's had a 3rd before, and he's sitting in 3rd at the moment. At the front of the field, the black and gold of Trenton Estep with Roman De Angelis in the green and white in second, Max Ruft in the red, white and blue in third, and David Coltman in the grey with the red and white stripes. The 71 car is in fourth position. All in behind the bright Guards red Porsche Turbo, which is our safety car that is out at the moment for that incident at turn 1, with Fred Podard off to the side of the exit, driver's left, facing in the wrong direction after contact with something pretty solid as well.
Yeah,
at the back of that car.
The good news is it wasn't another car, I don't think, because we've seen various incidents already this weekend, including on Thursday. There was a shower of rain right towards the end of a practice session that had begun in the wet and then dried out, and then there was a heavy shower of rain, and two drivers were caught unawares as they were making their way, they thought, sedately back to the pits, but they both lost control coming through the final corner and made heavy contact with both the barriers and each other. Two separate incidents, by the way. They were on slick 7 or 8 seconds apart. They were, yes, indeed, making their way back to the pit lane on slicks on a drenched racetrack, and heavy damage. It was actually Trenton Estet that went off first, and he's been quick all weekend. Finished second yesterday, was on the pole position this morning. The other car, Sebastian Carrazza, making his debut this weekend. That car was away all day yesterday being repaired.
Well, just hearing from race control that there was contact between the number 99 of Alan Metney, who was battling with Fred Podard for the lead in the Platinum Masters, disputing 7th position overall, and that will be reviewed after the race.
Oh, they were certainly they were fairly close as they came past the start finish line. I didn't watch them going down to turn 1.
No,
but they weren't sort of side by side or absolutely on top of each other heading down the hill towards turn 1. But
which tends to suggest that in that case, if there was contact, Alan had come from quite a long way back. So that will be reviewed post-race. We'll have a look at the 99 car next time it comes around. Let's see if there's any signs of damage. It's the iFly car, indoor skydiving. I know.
I didn't notice anything. Didn't seem to be anything.
No, me either. I'll be honest.
And Mike Levitas in car number 36, he was right with those two as well. It was a good 3-car battle, and that was the battle for the lead in the Masters class in the early stages of the race.
Great work from the safety team, and thank you as ever to all of our volunteer flaggers, marshals, officials, the people who check our passes in the morning and help us park our cars here at Watkins Glen International. We appreciate the fact that you are giving up your time so that we can come and enjoy the sport that we love. Thank you one and all, not just here at Watkins Glen but around the world as well. Motorsport simply can't exist without you.
A glimpse of the number 3 car, the Hertz JDX racing car at the front of the field. You can see there's a grey bumper on the back of that car. The front of the car looks fine, but underneath that bodywork on the front, an entire new front end, a front subframe grafted onto that car after the impact on Thursday afternoon. A remarkable job by Larry Elliott and the rest of that JDX team to get that car repaired again in time for yesterday's race, and a brilliant effort yesterday by Trenton Estet to set the fastest lap of the race in the late stages to finish a very strong second place.
Well, it now appears that there was contact between Fred Podard and his number 20 car and the Armcore, the blue metal fencing at the exit of turn 1. Once again, the winch on the Watkins Glen Track Services pickup truck being pressed into use, or pulled into use, I suppose, along with that looks like a 10-pound lump hammer to me, possibly a 15, being wielded with some skill there by our Track Services team down at the exit of turn 1. So we're not quite able to go green, despite the fact that Podard's car has been removed on a flatbed and is already on the way to the trailer. So there's going to be another lap or so underneath, under the control rather, of the safety car. The Porsche Turbo, which leads the field around, one of the new iterations of the 911, which has been in production now continuously for well over 55 years. Coming out of the inner loop at the moment, leading the field around. Now, did I just see the safety car lights going off there with 31 minutes to go? Let me check with race control and see if we get the message. Yep, safety car lights are out. Safety car lights are out on the chute, running down into turn number 6. That tricky downhill left-hander with 0 runoff on the exit. You get it wrong, you're in real trouble. Having a quick look at Alan Metney's car, the iFly sponsored machine, and couldn't see any damage. It must have been the slightest of contact that is being looked at by the race officials, or at least will be looked at after the race.
Yeah, so clearly there was nothing sort of overtly nasty down there. It must have been, and it only takes the briefest of touches,
you're on the ragged
because these
edge,
cars
aren't
are right on the limit down to head downhill into turn 1 and carrying a lot of speed through there.
Trenton Estep produced a perfect getaway in the side-by-side run to the green flag some 15 minutes ago to start this second race of the Watkins Glen International Race Weekend for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Now he has to do it again. His slight advantage is there's no one alongside him. It's a single file restart, and that's what they're coming back to now. We'll have around about 29 minutes of the 45 to go. Estep backing them up. The safety car has cleared out and is heading into the pit lane now. Coming through the final corner and is now in the pit lane. And
the boot was on the other foot yesterday because those front two were transposed in terms of positions, and Trenton Estep certainly will have seen what Roman DeAngelis still did yesterday. He got on the throttle as they went into the final corner.
Exactly, he's learned, and Estep is on the loud pedal nice and early. Green, 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 overtaking going on behind, but that's fine, the green flag is out. 29 minutes to go, bar 5 seconds as they came across the line, and Estep gets an even better start. A little bit of a slide by DeAngelis on cold front. DeAngelis is off. DeAngelis has gone off. He slid into the first corner. Maybe not quite enough heat in the Yokohamas as he went downhill there. It's really tricky tricky braking point because you're carrying momentum down the hill, and he's going to be under pressure from Maxwell Root, who gets a good run out of the S's. Max Root's eyes must have lit up there for a moment, defensive in the middle of the road. DeAngelis will keep hold of second position as they go. Oh, and off behind them. It's the 27. That's Carrazzo. That's the second time he's been involved in an incident today. That was this weekend, rather. That's the rebuilt car. Only got back here late yesterday afternoon. The NGT boys took it away 3 hours up the road to a body shop. And that's going to be another full course yellow. 74 going through there is the Kerr car. Now I think he just checked up to miss what was going on. So is that Wayne Ducote's car?
No, I fear it might be, because Wayne was directly ahead of him at the restart. The 73-year-old.
In the 73 car.
Yeah.
They've come to a halt right next to a Marshall's Point. There's bits of Porsches that we don't need to be seeing lying on the road.
Yeah.
And
accident happened fairly early.
Yeah, it is Ducote. And it was Carrazzo trying to go around the outside, or was it Wayne? Yes, it must have been Carrazzo trying to go around the outside because Wayne restarted ahead. Side-by-side contact with the right front wheel of Carrazzo to the left front wheel of Wayne Ducote, and they do stick out at the bottom, and that's all it needed.
That was kind of weird because, Carrazzo was kind of mainly past Ducote there as they're going through that the S's there. Plenty of room on his left.
With the benefit of another look at it, it was rear wheel contact.
Right.
Rear wheel contact, side to side.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. I just saw a little puff of smoke, Jeremy, as Carrazzo was going round the outside. So whether
rear wheel of number 27 car, front wheel of the 73 car.
Yes.
Yes, I agree, yes.
Yes.
So Carrazzo was almost past him. He was sort of 3/4 of the way past, and there was plenty of room to the left of Wayne there. So that was a slightly strange incident.
You do sort of drift out there. Are you coming out of a right-hander, or you're going round a right-hander, and you can sort of just drift out. It's flat, absolutely flat up there, even on a restart.
Oh, is it?
As soon as you get over the top of the hill.
Oh, when you get over the top of the hill, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were over the top of the hill there. They were coming into the last section of it. There's going to be debris on the circuit here. The safety car is at that point. Carrazzo, ooh, well, not happy.
The contact was certainly on the rear end of his car, so he's already had an incident this weekend. So
Wayne Ducote
he'll
not
be very
happy
disappointed
with what's happened, and Carrazzo is out of his car, and he's not happy either. Wayne Ducote is wearing the white suit, and Carrazzo's going down towards him and motioning that he should have been watching his mirrors, I think is what I'm reading from the body language. I don't think I'd be putting them in the same recovery vehicle, and Carrazzo needs to calm himself down a little bit here. I know he's had a nasty shock, but he's not going to do himself any good.
50-year age differential there between those two, 52 years actually.
Well, Wayne Ducote, it feels comfortable enough to take his helmet off. He's getting into the back of the GTS Cayenne. Carrazzo is directly ahead of him, still with helmet on, and the cleanup will continue.
That's disappointing. Incidentally, when by the time they came past here, Max Root has managed to get past Roman De Angelis.
Right.
We didn't see where that happened, because certainly when they went into the inner loop, having made that mistake down at turn 1, Roman De Angelis was defending, and he
Correct.
seemed to have held that the advantage through the inner loop. So he must have lost it later on in the lap. But Max Root has appeared now in second place, in car number 7, ahead of the number 1.
I would suggest that if he was still struggling to get heat of the tyres, he might have not got the exit he wanted from the inner loop, and Max was there to pounce.
Indeed.
Either coming through
Also,
the parabolica at 5 or down into the turn 6, the left-hander at the bottom of the chute. 24 minutes to go, Jeremy, and this is going to be another lengthy clean-up. We were just praising the guys on the Saturday race for how well they had behaved themselves, and when you don't have to save your car for another race for the weekend, it's all gone a little bit pear-shaped. But Trenton Estep will still be leading when they come back round again.
and that was almost a mirror image of yesterday's restart there, with a brilliant restart by Trenton Estep. Got a good jump coming off that final corner, a clear lead into turn 1, and in second place Roman De Angelis to try to carry the same sort of speed in there, but as you were suggesting, I think Yokohama tyres not quite fully up to temperature, trying to carry a bit too much speed through the apex, ran wide at the exit, left him vulnerable as they went onto the back straight, and ultimately the pass was made by Max Reed. Also a change of position in the lead of the Masters class, because Michael Levitas in car number 36 found a way past Alan Metney's number 99 on that restart lap.
Yeah. It's still Victor Gomez, the 4th in the 25 car in 10th position, that leads the gold category for the Gen 1 Type 991s, 911s. The car got very, very loose on turning for Roman De Angelis, and then he was fighting it. And thank goodness there's a lot of runoff down there, but that really killed his exit from turn 1 and ultimately allowed the pass to be made later in the lap by Maxwell Root. It looked to me as though he just lost the back end of the car, Jeremy, as he was braking into turn 1. And at that point, he wasn't going to make the apex, and he was running out of road. Plenty of runoff there at turn 1. It is dusty and dirty as well, which is another thing that may have caused De Angelis some problems with a bit of crud on the tyres.
Yeah, very much so.
And that can take a lap or two to clean off. And young Max Root deciding that he would take the opportunity. Hearing from race control that the current order behind the safety car is being looked at to make sure it's right for when the full course yellows came out, of course. If there was any passing post that, then that will have to be redressed. Cleanup crew on site of the 2-car incident that has seen Ducote and Carrazzo's cars come together. 73 and 27 already out of the running. Fred Poedad had a brush with the turn 1 exit wall in the number 20, possibly after contact with the number 99, Alan Metney. That incident will be reviewed after the race. The incident between the two drivers that I just mentioned, Ducote and Carrazzo, well, I'm sure that will be looked at as well, but both of those cars are out of the race, so penalties not to be applied, but perhaps a little chat with one or both of those drivers. That is at the discretion of the race director, of course. There'll just be a bit of a worry about any debris on the circuit around that incident. We've lost another heap of time, and this is going to be a sprint to the line with cars that are still relatively heavy because they haven't used a lot of fuel, but still have a lot of life in their Yokohama tyres. It's very, very light contact side to side between Carrazzo and Ducote.
It was definitely left front of Ducote's car to the rear of Carrazzo's car, so I can certainly understand why Sebastian is upset there. He had been presumably making the pass, and he seemed to be pretty much all the way around. There was plenty of room on either side of the road. They were kind of in the middle of the track at that point, because you're kind of transitioning, as you were suggesting a little while ago, through the S's there. It's a very, very fast part of the course.
Clearly, Sebastian had a good run coming up through the S's, pulled out to the left-hand side early, coming through what is actually turn 4, that right-hander, and hoping to get a run down the outside into the braking area for the inner loop, which is termed turn 5.
Jigsaw puzzle livery on the front of Wayne Ducote's car. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit of a jigsaw to put that car back together again. This is the second race of the weekend, so the Kelly Moss Road and Race team's got plenty of time to get that car back together again. Hopefully Wayne will be back for the next round, which is just next weekend.
Well, I was going to say, Jeremy, that the thing is that these guys will be packing up the haulers after this race today. They're then heading up to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
There's been a lot of damage again this weekend. It always seems to be a lot of damage when we come here.
Well, in fact, actually, I'm just trying to remember whether these cars are actually at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park or whether they're not back with us until Road America. Yeah, so they have got a bit of time, August the 3rd to 5th, so they are going to Road America, so that takes the pressure off. As soon as I said that, I started thinking to myself, oh no, that's not right. So Road America the next time. Always get a good race at Road America with these cars. Terribly frustrating for the rest of the field, though. We've burned a good 10 minutes of potential race time. Sebastian Carrazzo's car is on the flatbed. That's the good news. NGT have had a busy weekend already, and they've got a bit more work to do on the right-hand side of that car, front and rear. But it does mean that once we get the debris swept away from where those two cars have been sitting, we should be able to get back for maybe 12 or 13 minutes, maybe a little bit more of racing in the dash to the checkered flag for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. It's round 8, the second race of the weekend at Watkins Glen International. Good work again, Jeremy, by the track services team.
Indeed so, and that number 27 car for NGT Motorsport back is on the flatbed there. And tell you what, looking at the damage, we just saw a glimpse of it on the back of the pickup truck there, and considering the speed at which he went off, the damage didn't look, as bad as it might have been.
Well, I don't think he hit the barriers. I don't think Carrazzo's car.
Yeah, exactly. Or certainly not terribly hard, but it's damage to the right front corner.
It was 2 hits on Ducote's car. First one, a brush, which pitched him sideways, and then as he came round facing effectively in the wrong direction, the front right swept into the front right of Wayne's car, and that's where the major damage has come from, not from that initial contact.
No, which is pretty remarkable, because we've seen a lot of accidents there in the past where you kind of cannon from one side of the barrier to the other.
You just pinball down.
It can be really, really nasty, but that would have been a scary moment for both of those two.
Yeah, when you pitched sideways at that point, that'll be 100 miles an hour plus, I would think, up there. Yeah, the briefest of touches on the right rear of Carrazzo's car, and then pitched round, and the front suspension not looking as it left Weissach, Porsche's motorsport department, in just on the outskirts of Stuttgart. The lights are out of the safety car.
Even as it left the repair shop 3 hours away from here yesterday afternoon either.
Yes, I'd forgotten about that, Jeremy. Yes, well done. That car going for its second body repair of the weekend. The
youngster Sebastian Krause, it's been a tough debut for him this weekend in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama, but hopefully he'll be back. He's an ambitious young man. He's a university student and also works with his father's car rental hire company in Puerto Rico and in Orlando, Florida, actually, so he travels back and forth quite a bit.
The unmistakable sound of flat six engines means that it's the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Second race of the Watkins Glen weekend on the Salins 6 hours of the Glen IMSA weekend. One of the IMSA development series. The safety car has turned off the amber flashing lights on the top of that glorious Porsche 911 Turbo that is leading the field around. And we will go back to green flag racing. The incident that has given us all of this full course yellow between Carazo and Dakota will be reviewed after the race, but both of those cars are looking somewhat pre-loved, bit second hand, the pair of those, and they'll need some work before the August race at Road America. Now it's down to Trenton Estep, and this time it's Maxwell Root right on his tailpipes. He went hard just into the entry of the final corner on the last restart. He's weaving left and right, which he shouldn't really be doing once the safety car is gone. And he gets a good start, not quite at the gap that he had last time around, but goes across the line and down towards turn one. 14.5 minutes to go, and Root's right there. Root is closing in, less than a Porsche's length between them. Meantime, down the inside, straight on at turn number one, Anthony Imperato, who's a long way down the field and has just gone straight on. Where did he start? 6th position, and went straight on at the first corner. Managed to pull up that machine just before clipping the outer barriers, and I think he'll be back in the fight. Meantime, Victor Gomez and Mark Kavame were going back at each other again as well in the braking area as the leader goes through the inner loop, and touring car style gets the front of the car off the ground as he clobbers the curb. That's quite unusual to see people doing that through there, because it does unsettle the car, but he's getting it, Jeremy, very straight before he does that. Very clever piece of driving. Yeah, he did it at the very beginning of the race as well. I noted that the car seemed to be quite a long way in the air. Maxwell Root there putting a wheel on the grass coming out of the ankle of the boot there. Here's another view of the restart. And once again, that was a good restart by Maxwell. Really kept the pressure right on Trenton Estep. Now, what happened to Imperato? Did he just miss his braking area? Yes, he did. But interestingly, it looked to me as though Victor Gomez got by Mark Kavame as he. Oh, was that Charlie Luck going past? It was Charlie Luck. Yeah. Charlie Luck going past Victor Gomez. Sorry, got that the wrong way around. Yes. Victor in the light blue car. But that's a position lost for Victor. But it doesn't change the fact that he's still leading the gold category. What it does mean, though, is that Kurt Fazekas is only 2 cars further back in the line. It's been a good restart lap for Trenton Estep, who's going to come to the line with a huge gap between himself and Maxwell Root. After that mistake at turn number 6, he's now coming under pressure. Great battles, DeAngelis and Coltman going at it down into turn 1. Coltman down the inside. Doesn't quite have the overlap, but he's got a nice run. Tries to go on the right-hand side, going up the hill, but then drops back in. Taking the draft from the car ahead. Roman DeAngelis in the Kelly Moss Road and Race prepared machine. The white car with the green stripes on it. Through turn 4, the scene of the accident that has cost us so much racing time. Now barely a dozen minutes to go to the checkered flag. That's right, and the battle for second place is pretty intense there. Maxwell Root, his previous best finish is a 3rd place coming into this round, so he's looking to get 1 step higher onto the podium. That came actually in his debut at Sebring in the first race of the season. He finished in 3rd place. Since then, his best result up until yesterday, when he finished 3rd also, had been a couple of 5th place finishes, so it's been a good weekend for young Maxwell Root. Sitting at the moment in that 2nd position, but fully a 2.5 seconds behind the leader after that small mistake but he's got a little bit of a breathing space between himself and Roman De Angelis. Then it's Kolkman, who's just a tenth or so further back. Those three are where the action is at the moment. 7-1 and 71 disputing second place, with Trenton Estep in the number 3 gold and black JDX racing car, and a bit of grey this weekend with the new rear valance and bumper on that car. Victor Gomez still leading the GT3 gold category ahead of Fazekas in second, and Bill Smith backing up his career best second place finish in that category yesterday with a third on the road so far, but he's got Rob Furriel right in behind him in the 5. Keep an eye on that as well. Lead has gone through. Here comes second, third and fourth. As I say them, they go underneath the IMSA radio booth. Kolkman down the inside again on De Angelis. They're side by side through the exit of turn 1, and Imperato rejoining from the pit lane just to their right. That was an inopportune moment for that to happen. Still side by side through the S's. Oh, come on guys, play clever. Yes, they did. That was good driving by both. I was heart in the mouth there. We've seen all sorts of incidents there in the past. But it looks like Kolkman's got a quick car at the moment, Jeremy.
He does indeed. As we've seen on all of the restarts or starts this season, he's been right away, right on the gas right away. He gets that, the tyres up to temperature right away. He's really able to push hard early in a stint, and that was heads-up driving by Kolkman. If he'd have pressed the issue there, that could have ended in disaster. He very wisely, I believe, just backed off just enough to allow the number 1 car to maintain its slight edge.
Stout driving from both, and good defence from Roman De Angelis. Didn't move, didn't change his line, just made it absolutely clear to the German in the 71 car that he wasn't going to make it easy for him. No, I'm just going to sit here, and I've got a left-hand corner coming up, so you're going to have to go all the way around the outside.
Which ain't going to happen.
Yeah, exactly so. But, I mean, there was a good overlap there, Jeremy. They were pretty much side by side. They'd have been able to see each other, even though you can't move your head so much in the racing cars nowadays with a hands device and the safety seats that are a new feature for the Gen 2 car, with the access system above the driver so that drivers can be worked on by the medical staff. There's a little James Bond-style roof flap that opens up, or sort of a little access panel. And those new safety seats are really wrap around, but they would have still been able to see each other in their peripheral vision. New fastest lap for Trenton Estep at the front of the field, 52.1, and he's pulling away now, nearly 3 seconds the advantage from Root, De Angelis, Kolkman. Then a couple of seconds and more to Boss in 5th place. Alan Metney leads the Masters Charge, the 99 car, in 6th position.
That's right, he got back ahead of Michael Levitas at the restart.
Victor Gomez is a problem, is it? Or is that the 43? It's Kavami, yeah.
I think right front problem.
Yeah, he went right off at turn 1, and he's got a broken right front suspension or steering arm, and he's going to do well to get that back. He's on the grass. Now, Mark was battling with Charlie Luck and Mike Levitas, the three of them, in 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the Masters category.
Well, they were all very, very close. Yeah, the contact between Luck on the inside and Kavami on the outside. Wow, that's a hard whack.
Yeah, and that's broken the front steering on the 43 car.
Yes, that was bizarre.
Yeah, Luck coming down the inside into turn 1. Thought he had position, but he was drifting out to the outside. Kavami already wide and getting wider. And did he hit the barrier as well? Yes, he did, but he didn't have any steering at that point. Kavami being involved in a few little incidents this weekend. Yeah, not sure that one was of his own making.
No, I don't think it was either. I mean, he was holding position on the outside. It was Charlie Luck that dived to the inside. They both kind of got on the curbs next to the corner, and Charlie Luck's car just sort of took a leap to the left, which is where Kavami's car was already on that piece of asphalt.
And for what, is this the 3rd time now?
Yes.
That the safety car will have to send it out for some more fuel at the moment, and this could be all she wrote, I'm afraid, Jeremy. This one has been a bit of an accident fest, which was a shame because we were having a great battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th there. Trenton Estep won't mind. Get the same number of points for going through the checkers under full course yellow as you do in full green conditions. Hasn't had to take too much out of his Yokohama tyres or his number 3 JDX run Porsche. Slightly frustrating, I'm sure, for the rest of the drivers. Again, contact rear wheel to front wheel, which broke the steering there. And Kurt Fazekas in the 52 just going past the scene of the accident in the purple and green car. He's going to end up second, I think, in the gold category. Bill Smith will have his second podium of the weekend, a second and a third from him. That'll make him a happy man. But it's going to be Victor Gomez who has a third and a fourth, excuse me, third and a first in that number 25 car. And the incident that has put us under full course yellow between Mark Kavame and Charlie Luck under review at the end of the race.
Yeah,
they've got a late day today. They thought they were going to be finished relatively early and have a nice long leisurely lunch.
That's mid-morning into their day. That would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Not happening, chaps.
Luck. This is the way this race is going now. It's brilliant news for Trenton Estep. But despite that huge crash he had on Thursday, came away with a second place finish yesterday. Looks like he's going to get the win today. I think we might be able to get back to green. That was weird, that incident there.
Just
a little, just sort of took off to the left on the coming out of the corner. Yeah, a little slide.
Charlie was coming from a long way back, but he did make the corner, and on the exit, slightest of brushes, the rear wheel, the bottom of the front Yokohama tyres and the wheel, obviously, on which they are mounted. We talk about camber. It means the bottom of the wheel is sticking out proud, so that the top of the tyre is tucked under the wheel arches, the guard, but the bottom sticks out a little bit. That helps get the tyre, the Yokohama tyre, flat on the road when you're cornering, and that's what's called camber. And that little bit of angle makes the bottom of the wheel slightly vulnerable to side-by-side contact, and that's exactly what happened. It was the briefest, the slightest of touches.
I'm not so sure about that. It was a pretty stout whack, I think, and it was Charlie Luck.
It's broken the steering arm.
Yeah, it was a pretty. I mean, the car, Charlie Luck's car, all of a sudden just stepped out to the left there when he got on the curbing, and he must have known. Well, perhaps he didn't, that Mark Kavame was already right there on the outside.
It's his side of the car. He'll have known that. He was close enough. And the way that he came out of the corner, Jeremy, for me, the way that Charlie Luck on the inside came out of turn one, he didn't take the normal line. He did pinch it in a little bit, so he was obviously trying to give room. But then, as you say, right at the exit of the corner, Mark Kavame, already on the rumble strip, he was as far over as he could do. Yes, there's runoff there, but you're not really supposed to use that. White flag is out, by the way. We will finish under yellow. But then there was just a little final slide by the Luck car. I think it was deliberate there, but I don't think it was also very smart.
No, it's certainly unlike Charlie, who's leading, by the way.
Absolutely.
Leading the Masters class points coming into this weekend, and he extended that lead yesterday with his fourth place finish. He made up some ground. He qualified relatively not as strongly as he normally would do yesterday, but came through to finish fourth. And he had a 15-point lead over Alan Metney coming into today's race. Well, that'll be
it's going to be cut down because Metney's going to win this, isn't he?
Bit, yeah, he is, and Michael Left is going to finish in second place. Charlie Luck, well, assuming there's no action from the stewards, he will finish third, so he'll lose 5 points of that advantage as we head to the next two races at Road America. So that'll be down to a 10-point gap between Charlie Luck and Alan Metney. This will be Metney's. He's looking at his second win of the season, and he's just in his second season of racing, is Alan Metney. So he's made vast strides over the last 12 months. He's really taken it seriously and has been showing very, very good speed.
The bright red safety car has led more laps than anyone else in this 8th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama, the second of two races at the Sirland 6 Hours of the Glen IMSA event. The IMSA Development Series not quite giving us the action that we're used to in this second race. It's the last lap. We will finish under yellow, and it will be another win for JDX and for Trenton Estep, with Maxwell Root on the podium in second place, and Roman De Angelis in third. This could have been a really, really bad weekend for Trenton Estep. Car off into the barriers with a unexpected and heavy rain shower in practice, catching him out whilst he was on slick tyres. It had been wet at the start of the session. It got drier. Everyone went onto slicks, and then the rain rolled back in. And there was a time in the early part of the week when Estep must have thought that his weekend had gone really, really south. But the JDX guys took off all of the front end of the Porsche, the subframe, the bodywork, the whole lot, rebuilt it, replaced it with another one, got the car back out, and he's had good results yesterday and a better one today. The Mark Cavami car on its way back to that trailer in the paddock. Mark not having the best of weekends.
No, but that was most unfortunate for Mark Cavami.
So Trenton Estep, one of the new generation of GT and sports car drivers, ahead of a very young looking podium today, Jeremy. Estep, Root and De Angelis. Porsche, the next generation, certainly could be. The checkered flag is out. The 8th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama under full course yellow will be won by Trenton Estep and JDX. He comes across to the wall where his team are waiting for him. Maxwell Root in second. Third, Roman De Angelis. Root taking that position just before this final full course yellow was thrown for the incident between Charlie Luck and Mark Cavami. Victor Gomez inside the top 10 at 9 will take gold category. Ahead of him, a couple of 3 places in 6th. Alan Metney closes down the lead of Charlie Luck in the Platinum Masters Championship. That now just 10 points between Charlie Luck and Alan Metney in Charlie's favour, by the way, presuming that he doesn't get any sanction or penalty for that late contact with the 43 car.
Yeah, and in Gold Cup, that is the 6th win of the season for Victor Gomez out of 8 races. So he'll now have a 19-point edge over Kurt Fazekas, who had the win yesterday. Another good, strong second place finish today for Kurt in that number 52 car. In the overall championship standings, Trenton Estep came into the weekend with an 11-point lead over Roman De Angelis. De Angelis turned the tables yesterday, had the win with Trenton in second place, but today, with Estep winning and De Angelis in third, he's extended that lead now out to by another 2 points, so it'll be a 13-point edge between first and second as we head next to Road America.
Early August, Road America, America's National Park of Speed, is what the locals call that next venue for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. A similarly green and pleasant land to welcome the competitors as we head into the second half of the 2018 series. And the man with momentum and the points lead at the top of the championship will be that number 3 driver, Trenton Estep, who takes the second round here today. I'm John Hindhaugh. Jeremy Shaw was alongside me, and Trenton Estep will be on top of the podium for JDX. Not exactly rags to riches this weekend, but certainly a crash to the top step of the podium. His team will be delighted, and he's paid them back in the best possible way. Join us at Road America when we'll be racing again in the 2018 Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama.